vibrant city of San Jose has a financial crisis with its streets and its potholes.
Today, with about 25% of our streets rated in poor condition, and we have a backlog of deferred maintenance that's at a whopping level of $400 million. The cost to recover for a lack of investment in pavement maintenance is really skyrocketing and escalating. And by the year 2020, that will increase to $870 million, with over 50% of our streets in poor condition.
It's a looming problem for about every city in the Bay Area. Heavier vehicles, including new generations of garbage trucks and delivery trucks, now roam residential streets that weren't designed for such heavy loads, with separate trucks for garbage, recycling, and green waste stopping at each address on many blocks at least once a week. On major arterials, modern buses, which are often larger and heavier than used a generation ago, are part of the traffic mix as well. The roads have been beaten down by these loads as Mother Nature, time, and a growing population of travelers all take their toll. And burdened by budgetary constraints, cities and counties have routinely deferred maintenance to handle other priorities like police, fire, parks, and libraries, which have had their own budget cutbacks.
And tell me where we're headed. Mills Court,
which
is the worst street in San Jose, PCI 5. This is a street pretty much has been almost reduced to gravel.
Hans Larson is San Jose's Director of Transportation and has testified before the California Senate Budget Subcommittee on pavement maintenance.
Most of our street infrastructure was built in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and so it's largely 50 years old. And when something gets that old, it's time for some major rehabilitation, and those are much more costly treatments. With all of San Jose's neighborhood streets today, we have zero funding for pavement maintenance. And unless there's new investment that's generated, we'll see a lot more streets looking like this in San Jose. If you have money to seal your streets on a regular basis, you don't develop the cracks and the underlying damage. It can be 5 to 10 times more expensive to take care of a street if you defer maintenance and allow it to get to this kind of condition. We have 2,400 miles of streets in San Jose. About 900 miles, or roughly a third, are considered major streets. They carry the majority of traffic. I think about 87% of all the traffic is carried on a third of our street system, our major streets. So we've taken our major street system for pavement maintenance purposes and divided them into two groups. The priority street network, the ones that carry the most traffic, we're able to maintain about half of the major streets, which is our priority street network. The other major streets, which we call other major streets, are currently unfunded for pavement maintenance. And so this is an example of one of our other major streets that's unfunded for maintenance. The third category we have is our local and neighborhood streets, and about 2/3 of all the streets in San Jose make up the roads within our neighborhoods. As of today, there is no money to take care of our neighborhood streets. So this area here is quite rough. Well, I went through here yesterday and looking at it and like, wow, that's really bad.
Road deterioration is something the Romans had to deal with, but the way we pay for road maintenance has changed with history in San Jose and virtually every other city with few exceptions.
We've had a history of irregular funding coming in for pavement maintenance that's really a stop-start of investment at the federal level, the state level, and the local level. But even when we were at high levels of funding, we weren't really at the levels that were needed to be able to keep our streets in good condition. And particularly the last 10 years, since the Great Recession, there's been a very severe cutback in local funding available for pavement maintenance. And so we've really facing a crisis of our streets becoming worse in terms of their condition and more challenges with funding. In San Jose, we get about $20 million a year for pavement maintenance. The majority of that money comes from state and federal gas taxes, which generally have been flat in terms of the amount that we get. Other sources of funding come from a county-wide vehicle registration fee, which is about $5 million a year. And the city's money for pavement maintenance comes from one-time development taxes. Because of budget cutbacks in the last decade and priorities for things like public safety, parks, and libraries, we get zero general funds for pavement maintenance, and we're reliant entirely on one-time funds that come from new development.
And when work like this is done, it's costing more than ever.
Cost of pavement maintenance, this chart here shows how there's been a 300% increase in the cost of asphalt concrete over the last 15 years. So as revenues are flat, but costs increase, that allows us to be able to do less with the dollars that we do have.
It's a double whammy. The worse the streets become, the more expensive it becomes to fix them.
The really urgent message with this is that unless the local streets receive a timely preventative maintenance treatment, the streets that are in fair condition, that batch of streets is going to quickly fall into poor condition and will cost us in the order of 5 times more to be able to maintain.
San Jose has by far the largest local street network in the Bay Area. But aging pavement is a regional and national problem, with cities and counties across the country facing similar bumpy roads and grim financial numbers. San Jose spends $20 million a year on street maintenance. It added, this year only, $16 million, and is considering ways to overcome its long-term $800 million crisis. Other Bay Area hometowns are trying to cope too.
I think the lack of investment to take care of existing infrastructure really is a national issue. This really is kind of a wake-up call. What San Jose is experiencing, other communities are beginning to experience as well, or will be very soon.
In San Jose, Mark Jones reporting.